Hello, lovelies. Today I'm going to be talking about video games since I'm a huge fan of video games. I've been playing video games since Sega Genesis. My very first video games were Pac-Man and Sonic the Hedgehog. The first horror video game was Dino Crisis, which was for the PlayStation. The first time I played it, it was a demo my dad received with the PlayStation Gaming Magazine. I wasn't supposed to play it because it was M for mature, and my parents didn't think that it was appropriate for me. But I love dinosaurs, so how could I possibly say no to playing this game? There was no way my parents could have kept me from playing this game. I would have found a way. I was around 10 at the time, and we were having a family get-together. I don't know if it was the holidays or what it was, but I figured nobody would miss me if I snuck off to go play this upstairs. Well, my older sister saw me sneaking off and wanted to know what I was up to because I was always up to something. Just the type of kid I was. I was always getting into trouble. Well, I showed her the game. I don't remember if she questioned whether I should be playing it or not, but I turned it on and started playing. So, when you turn it on, you have to walk down this hallway. It's the only choice you have. Well, when you walk down it, there's a wall of glass windows. I heard a noise, and immediately when you hear the noise, your character stops and looks out the window. And you can't stop the action, it just automatically does it. It creeped us out, but I kept going. I wanted to know what was going to happen next. I killed my first dinosaur. I turned back down the hallway because some of the areas were closed off, so I had to try to figure out where I was supposed to go and see if I missed something. Especially since this was a demo, so some areas were going to be locked off because they want you to buy the game. Well, on my way back, yeah, that was a bad move on my part, walking back past the windows where I heard the noise from. Because a raptor burst through the window, jumped on top of my character, and started to eat her. I don't know if I screamed, but I probably did. I ran so fast, hit on the floor on the other side of my parents' bed, and just peeked up above the blankets to see what was going on. It freaked me out hearing her scream and the dinosaurs eating the character. It was really disturbing, but it kind of reminded me of what would have happened in Jurassic Park. I didn't return to that game until a few months later, only to have another terrifying experience. This time with a T-Rex bursting through a window, which is behind my character. Yeah. Good times. I wish somebody would reboot these games. Please, somebody reboot them. At least up the graphics and the controls. I mean, don't use the D-pad. Please, don't use the D-pad. Analog stick. Much more control and smoother controls. Okay? Analog stick good, D-pad bad. Don't do it. I've been hearing that it's going to get remade, but it keeps falling through. If anybody knows anything about it being remade, let me know in the comments. I would love this to be first person, but if it's going to be third, just up the graphics and no D-pad. I can't stress that enough. So from this game on, I've played Parasite Eve, Silent Hill, Alone in the Dark, Dead Space, and more recently, I've just started playing the Resident Evil game where you're on a train. I don't know if it's a remake, a reboot, or what. I just know it's for the PlayStation 4, and that's what I started playing it on. Parasite Eve, I beat way back in the day. I don't really remember it. I just know it was for the PlayStation, the first one. I don't know if it got remade or rebooted since then. If it has, let me know in the comments, because I would love to try that again. I just know it was a weird game from what I do remember, and it had some creepy elements. Silent Hill and Alone in the Dark, along with Dead Space and Resident Evil. I haven't really gotten far in them. Silent Hill, Alone in the Dark, and Dead Space, I absolutely hate the controls in. I don't like them. And I'm actually finding I'm not a huge fan of third-person horror games. I prefer first. They're less immersive for me in third person than first. I mean, think about it. You have this body directly in your line of sight. You don't get to see what they're seeing. I want to see what's coming before they do. I mean, I'd rather see it as it's happening than not being able to see what's around my character unless I mess with the camera. I don't want to mess with the camera because sometimes you don't have time for that. I don't know why the developers thought third person was the best idea for horror games, because they still put them out today, and I don't understand it. I'd rather see a zombie right in my face than my character's back. That's my issue. That's actually why I stopped playing Resident Evil and Dead Space. Although Dead Space, I didn't like the controls at all. That was my big issue with that game. Because they kind of had the character off-center, which was a little better. Kind of had him in the corner. Bloodborne was my... Well, not my first third-person hack and slash. Bloodborne was. But Bloodborne... I liked the horror aspect of the game. The gothic layout was great. It had that Van Helsing feel, which I loved. The monsters were really cool as well. Some of them were really creepy. I don't like Dark Souls. I know it's a hugely popular game. I don't like them. And Bloodborne was very similar to that game. You can call me a noob, but they're too difficult for me to actually enjoy playing. I play all games on normal to start to get the feel for the game and the controls. However, those games, it's almost like I have to play on easy and I refuse. I like a challenge, and I feel like if I go on easy, I'll lose the challenge. However, it might be something I have to do just to enjoy the game. I'm a casual gamer. I play for fun, not to play the same section 100 times in hopes of killing the enemy just to reach the next one that is even more difficult than the last. It's not fun for me. I get bored after the first 12 or so deaths, and I move on to a different game, and I usually never return. The first-person horror games that I have played that I actually really liked were Doom, Fear, and Alien Colonial Marines I like aspects of. It's not really the best game, but I will get into that one. So just bear with me. I felt that the first person aspect in those games were far more immersive. It was more terrifying, and I was able to see the entire room that my character was standing in instead of the sides of my character. The side of, like, the room, but only the sides. Yeah. Doom has some really creepy elements, for sure. I actually got my character stuck, and I haven't been able to figure out how to get him out. So right now he is like stuck in a hole, basically, where there's pipes everywhere. Yeah, I don't know how to get him out. I've been trying to figure it out. I'm probably going to have to start over, which I'm not looking forward to because I don't think I made it too far in the game, but I made it far enough where I don't really want to start over, but probably going to have to. I don't remember which Doom it is because I didn't know there were a few of them. I know it's not Doom Eternal. It's not one of the new games. It's one of the older ones. When I find out, I will let you know. Fear freaked me out. I'll admit it right from the beginning. I'm at one of the doors in the game, but I'm too terrified to go through it. So I kind of just stopped. Because I've watched enough horror movies, you don't go through the door. You just don't go through the door. The girl doesn't make it any easier because she reminds me of Samara, which really freaks me out. Once I gain my courage back, I'll return to it. And hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later. Aliens, Colonial Marines. It had potential. It really had potential. I thought the atmosphere was really creepy when you first start playing. And the alien is skulking around, which really freaked me out. To say the least. I just was really disappointed in the fact that you fight more humans than aliens. I would have rather more alien battles than fighting humans. I don't even know why you're fighting humans. In none of the movies where you fight, like, they never fought humans in any of the movies. So why did they think adding humans to it was a good idea? It made no sense to me. Just blew my mind. I want to try Alien Isolation. I haven't. I've been wanting to, like I said. I just worry it's going to be like Alien Colonial Marines, and it's going to be lackluster. I'm planning on trying it this weekend. I will let you know what I think of it in the next few weeks. One of my favorite all-time horror hack and slash game was Blood Rain 2. I adore this game. The first one had a lot of issues with the story. I mean, it wasn't that great. The controls were terrible. The graphics were even worse. But the second one fixed everything that was wrong with the first one, in my opinion. This game inspired my vampire novels, which I'm hoping to have finished at some point, sooner rather than later. When I have one of them published, I will let you know. The enemies were phenomenal in this. I absolutely love the bosses, especially Ephemera and Feral. They are my two absolute favorites. The difficulty was great. It was a challenging game. The puzzles were great. I like that you had to think to figure them out. I honestly wish they would reboot this game and the franchise instead of making side-scroller platforms. It just doesn't do her justice, in my opinion. I think they could honestly go so many different ways if they continued the story after rebooting it. They could delve into how she got into the organization. I forget the name of it. They could maybe have a new bad guy that's trying to take over or something, or maybe somebody's out for revenge against her. There's so many different paths that they could take. So I've been really disappointed that they've been going the side-scroller platform route. Another hack and slash game that I thought was pretty good was Dante's Inferno. I kind of wish it was more like the Divine Comedy though, because that story was more terrifying and tragic. However, the game itself was interesting and had some creepy looking enemies that I liked. Some games that they consider horror, I don't consider horror, are Devil May Cry. I almost said Dante because that is his name. And Darkstalkers or Darksiders. I think it's Darksiders. One of them where you play as War. I don't see them as horror, so like per se. I mean, they have some elements and some of the enemies are kind of creepy, but it doesn't have the same feel as Doom or Fear or even Resident Evil. So I wouldn't really consider them horror. What are some of your favorite horror video games? Do you prefer third-person or first-person horror video games? Do you think they should make first-person horror games and forgo third-person? Like me. Is there a game you wish would be rebooted or created? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to try some other terrifying games as well. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit subscribe and like buttons. Stay tuned until next time. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for watching again.